because a lot of the people that listen to me run out of, hold on, something is happening here. Let me pause for a moment. Sophie, can you still hear me? This will be edited. 3, 2, 1, type in the chat. Sophie. Then I'll ask the question again. It will be edited. Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. Let me make sure. Okay, I think it's only you and I.
Yes.
So we'll keep going. So this is 3, 2, 1. So I have a question for you. As the soccer field, you know that you are one of the best players and it's your passion, and you are a teacher also for young athletes, and you are teaching them not only the ways of soccer, on the ways of the mind. What I have as a question for you is, how do you relate the soccer field to personal mastery and to enlightenment?
You can see life or what is happening in your life through 90 minutes of a soccer game. Every aspect of what life contains is within a 90-minute soccer match. You do have happiness. You have joy. You have anger. You have rage. You have disappointments, etc., etc. You have every possible emotions, every possible thoughts, everything that is happening to us on a daily basis, but also in a period of times throughout our lives. I'll give you a great example. The happiness, the joy, the satisfaction, that all comes from the great things that are happening. For instance, you score a goal. You know, what does it have? Your team celebrates. You are happy, is joyful. You get the energy, the motivation, you know, now we're going for it. And that's where the momentum comes, because usually it can last for a long time. Now comes the other side. They score against you. Now comes in the doubt. Now comes in the rage. Usually, as a soccer player, I can almost guarantee, rarely does people get angry, they get raged because they just lose their mind. They get disappointed because usually it can last for a very long time. That goal you conceded can also be the goal that's going to be kept on the scoring sheet and make you lose the game. And the beautiful thing about soccer is that there's not only one game. It's a season. It's a season of games. It's a season of unknown games where you simply don't know how the opponent's going to be against you. You know there are the top teams who might come at you. You know you're going to meet the teams that are on the bottom of the league. But you still don't know. Because like I said in the bio, the mind is everything. It doesn't really matter if you're the best team or the baddest team or it doesn't really matter. If you got your mind set into what you have to do, being the predator, like I mentioned on the previous call, and you have the prey in front of you, which is what you want, because you're playing against the team because you want to beat them and take what is yours, which is the win. And now you need to do everything that is necessary, that's cutting their throats. You know what I mean in that sense, cutting their throats by your willpower and your dedication and hard work. That's what matters. Wow. This comes back to what I said about the mind and staying true to do what you can do. There's this phrase I always use, and I found this. It's a quote, but I don't know who said it. I wish I could know, but it goes like this: the only way out is in.
Is in, yes.
For you to get what you want on the outside or whatever that is, you need to go in first, inside you. And I've seen it over and over and over again, how the best teams lose to the underdogs, to the less superior teams. Why is that? You have the best team stacked with phenomenal players, extremely great players at what they do, but they lose to a team which is on the bottom. Why is that happening? Why are they choking in those moments? It's because simply those guys had their mind ready. We know what to do.
Yes, we know.
And you know, again, like I mentioned, it's a soccer season. Soccer is not being just played one game, that's it. It's a season. Each game is going to give you the points. Some days it won't give you the points.
Wow.
But it's the continuous hard work. It's the continuous dedication. You will lose games, but you will win games as well. Now here's the challenge in those two aspects of, when you lose and when you win. What is happening in between? If you win a game, what is happening in between to the next game? If you lose a game, what is happening in between until the next game? That's where you show who you are. How do you reset? How do you get your mind to the present moment now? Because in that moment, you will reflect and see everything you need to do to get ready to the next game. A guy who is open-minded and see everything as feedbacks, as a learning experience, to see every detail that they can get and use to their advantage to add the simple things on their trainings to prepare the next game. That is what I'm talking about. Using to create that momentum, knowing that one game you can lose, but what you do in between can be used to make sure that your chances to win the next game and the games after that is what going to lead you to go to the championship. And that is what life is all about, because one day will suck. It won't go at all how you do. There are I don't know how many days we have in our lifetime approximately, but I can use months, for instance, as an example. 1 month can be bad. But if you use that month to reflect on your mistakes, then you have 3 successful months ahead of you. You might fail again, but while you still are in the moment and figuring out what to do, what you can control and what to fix, then you have 5 months ahead of you. And look what happens. After a year, you have 12 months. You have 2 or 3 bad months, which was like it is. It was bad months. But look at the rest. Look at the rest of the months, what you have achieved. And that is what is happening throughout a soccer season, but especially a soccer game. You will have moments when things doesn't go well. Those 90 minutes is not going to be completely as you plan. You can forget sometimes all the tactics you put. And I speak from experience. I have played numerous games, many tactics, plans, whatever that is. But the opponent simply doesn't do what we wanted them to do. which is now leading now to my next point is, don't try to control the outcome, because it's gonna definitely not gonna make you succeed at that. Maybe sometimes, but it's not a sustainable habit and thing to do. You cannot. You can just know what you have to do. Make a plan on what you can do during a game, but don't use the tactics to figure out what they're gonna do. Forget it. Then you're moving on the outward.
So you are really playing I love. I was making notes because it's everything we do, whatever field we are playing, it's a metaphor for our lives, a metaphor of how we show up. And I love, you're talking in a way about the momentum, about being present in the moment, about being focused also on the end goal, which is very funny because in soccer you're focused on the end goal is to make goals, right? Is to get the goal, get the ball in the goal. And that's like the end goal, as long without trying to control the process, which it's an illusion. The only thing you can control most of the times, if you're committed to master, is yourself, right? It's how you think, how you show up, who do you choose to be, and who do you choose not to be, which for me is more important. But as you were speaking this wisdom, Miran, I kept seeing a goal, the goal of soccer field, and translating it as a metaphor of life. And I was like, wow, the goal is like God. God is in the goal. God is in the goal. God is in the end goal. And the end goal is in the moment, because you put the ball in the goal in the moment, right? It's not in an hour or in the 45-minute, mark of your first quarter or something like that. So tell me something. This is so much wisdom. I'm gonna re-listen too when we publish this podcast. But when you are in the field playing your game, being there in the field of life, in the field of soccer, in the field of the now, how does God plays a role in the team of your life experience for you, or the energy of it, however you see it?
Oh, wow. How do you do that? Well, there's one thing when it comes to energy, when it comes to the energy, and how you put that into the frame. I don't see our team, because usually when we play against another team, there's 11 players on each team. But when it comes to the energy, there is no 11 players. There's all 11 players as one.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah, it is wow. It is wow. And I say, and the reason I say this is because you can use the example of the client Mr. Grover had during his time, which was Jordan, Michael Jordan. So he had 13 years of playing career at the Chicago Bulls. 7 years of those 13, he did not win. And then you see the rest of the 6 years, he won. He won the 6 rings. But how come is it that he did not win for 7 years, but he won for 6? It's because in those 7 years, he didn't play and use his greatest assets and, how should I say, I'll use the assets, and the greatest thing he can use to get to the spot where he wants to be, and that is his teammates. As good as he was, because he was the best in the league, it didn't go all the way. Then come Phil Jackson into the picture, taking in the Zen Buddhism into the team, getting in the mindfulness into the team, working as one. And such a great metaphor and a physical example of this. There's 5 players on a basketball team. And when you have 5 players in front of you, or you can reflect it as into a human body like your hand, there's 5 fingers. What happens if you now take all your 5 fingers and close it together? You get a fist bump down. Taking all those fingers together, you create a fist. And that fist is going to penetrate through every wall that is in front of you. And that's why I use the reference of there is no 11 players. There is only one. We go as one. We go as a unit.